Good morning and happy Sunday. This is First to the Whistle on the Woodward Sports Network. You got me today. It's just me to start the show. We got young Hefe in the TD booth, so I'm going to say good morning, Jeff. How you doing, man?
Man, you know what I'm saying? We're here. I mean, that's really what matters. I mean,
right?
It's rough. You know it's a rough morning, man. Like
daylight savings time got people acting wild.
Like that really hurts you especially when you don't remember it.
Right.
And I didn't remember it.
When did it hit for you? When did it click that you remembered, or did you get a reminder from a friend, a coworker?
I was actually watching the UFC fights, and I was like, why is it? Wait a minute. Am I tripping?
Yeah, daylight savings time, baby.
I was like, oh no, I think I'm tripping. It was a snooze fest. I'm like, yeah, something weird going on.
It's one of those.
And it'll be in that.
One of the worst mornings for some people out there, but we're here, and if you're watching right now, we really appreciate it because that means you're up an hour early enjoying some Lions football on this Sunday. And there was a lot that went down this last week. I'm excited to talk about it. Kool Aid will be joining us in 20-25 minutes. Looks like Stick will be on in the next 5 to 10 to 15. But we're going to get rolling. Jeff and I got this. We got this. So thank you for joining. I see you, Vincent E313. I see you, M Go Blue. Go Blue, baby. We got Michigan State basketball today at 4:30. I know the Woodward Sports crew. You're going to be out at Art and Jake's, right? In Northville?
Art and Jake's in Northville. Yes, sir.
4:30 game, but you guys going to be out there. You'll be out there an hour early, prepping.
We starting at 4.
Having a couple cocktails.
If you're looking where the stream is going to be at, we're going to start at 4. We are going to be sipping some of that cherry wheat. It's going to be a good time, man. We're going to see Michigan State get a revenge dub.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, we know about that. We know about that, brother.
Trusty and the Dusty. We got a hot Michigan team versus just a stable Tom Izzo Michigan State basketball team. Again, we're here to talk Lions. Dante15151 in the chat is talking about Max Crosby. He went to the Ravens and not the Bears. We love that. Although we kind of wish he was coming here to Detroit, right? Especially with all this new money opened up. We'll talk about it. John effing Lord, good morning, everyone. He says, I said M Go Blue 9. Eric Moy 3944. Lions fan in Orlando. Good morning, fellow Lions fans. He says, Praco, they never was in on Crosby. Do you think they were? Do you trust or believe that Brad Holmes made the calls? It seriously made the calls with offering up 2 firsts. You're shaking your head no.
I don't believe so. I mean, I just don't think the dude has it in him to go out there and actually say, you know what, here's 2 firsts. I want that guy right there. He's a proven animal to go on the other side of my proven animal. We're going to have a tag team duo of proven animals on that edge. We're going to be disgusting. And it still gives you the ability to find a way. You could either move back into the first round. You have seconds. You have capital. You have players that are expendable. You could have done it. You could have picked a tackle in the second round. I would have been okay with it because you have those 2 monsters on that edge for 2. That's it. Just 2 first.
Right.
Like the Ravens got to steal. Like they don't do good on the first round picks anyway. So
how good
they weren't going to draft a receiver for Lamar Jackson, so you might as well get an edge.
We know any receiver they draft for Lamar is going to fail miserably. Where did the Ravens? They were at 14. They traded so the 14th pick. Wow. Now that I think about it, that win against Chicago the Lions had at the end of the season, they would have been picked 13, right?
See where that stings a little bit, huh?
We'll let
winning meaningless games.
We'll let that marinate a little bit. John F. Lore says Brad probably made a call, but that's it. Yeah, I guess we haven't seen him go out and make that type of move yet. Trading draft capital. You know, he came from the Rams, came under Les Snead, the F them picks hierarchy. We haven't seen him F them picks yet. He hasn't necessarily needed to yet. Kind of seems like this was a near perfect opportunity to at least offer them. But I do want to talk about how savage Brad Holmes is. Like this was a wild week in Detroit Lions news, not in necessarily a good way or not in a comfortable way. That's what I want to go with. This week made me and a lot of people uncomfortable, and that's what I love about it. That's what I feel like Brad Holmes finally is taking that next step in his development as a GM, going out and actually being a savage, going out and actually making decisions based on the money, based on the future, and not just emotional. There were 3 players this week that are not going to be Lions next year that Lions fans have grown a liking to, whether that's for the last 10 years with Taylor Decker, left tackle Taylor Decker. We'll talk more in depth about it, but he requested his release after contract restructuring broke down. David Montgomery, a couple days prior, he didn't ask for a trade outright, but he asked for a trade. He asked out of Detroit, and Brad Holmes made that happen in a big way. And Graham Glasgow, unfortunately, was released. We're going to talk about them all right now, but let's welcome Sam Stick Day to the show. Sam, good morning. Daylight savings got you a little twisted because Grant Cayman doesn't.
There's no daylight savings here.
So you were thinking it's 7 a.m. for you right now.
Yes. Yep.
Well, dude, thanks.
That's
for
why I was
joining,
like, man, Broder sent the link super early.
Yep. We're here an hour and 15 minutes early. No, we're here.
These guys are on their game today.
We're learning. At least you thought we were learning. Kool Aid's going to join us in 20. I just opened the show kind of talking a lot of uncomfortable news this last week. I want to get your sense of whether it was good uncomfortable, bad uncomfortable. Where do you stand on Brad Holmes as a whole before we dig into the individual situations?
As you know, I'm a loyalist to Brad Holmes, the man that built the best Lions stretch in their 80-year history, the guy who cleaned up 75 years of bullshit to give us 4 years of excellent football, playoff wins, number 1 seeds, MVP caliber play at many positions that he drafted. So anybody that bashes Brad Holmes, I just look at it as complete clowns. I wake up today and I love it though, because what does Brad Holmes normally wear on his shirt? Was it say villain? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. And I think he's actually embracing that now. And he's becoming a villain to our fan base too, which I think is a good thing, because I still think our fan base doesn't know what's up and what's down when it comes to winning football and how to have a sustainable winning team. And you know how I know that? Because we've never had a sustained winning team.
Never.
So everything's kind of foreign to these people right now. And they still think this is go to the grocery store, buy the most expensive everything, and just try to make it work, instead of like, no, we need to ration this out. We need to make sure that we have sustained success. We need to make sure that the guys that are coming up and still ascending are more important than the Taylor Deckers of the world, that we've all seen it with our eyes. He's not getting better by any stretch of the imagination. Yeah. And if you pull him into a room and say, bro, like, your play hasn't been $21 million a year play, and we need you to be a $10 million player, and he wants to stand on his laurels, he can do that. Yeah. That's fine. They can also say, hit the fucking bricks, because we can spend that money elsewhere. And I know Braylon kind of went off on me on his show last week when I said, hey, if you're not all in, you can be all out. And what was his response? Imagine going to your wife and telling her, oh, honey, we're going to make $10 million less this year. I don't relate to that. You don't relate to that. 99.9% of the people in this planet don't relate to, oh, you're only going to make $8 million? I feel so bad for you this year. I don't agree with it. I think that's flawed thinking. You're either all in or you're all out. And, Taylor Decker showed some chinks in his armor, and so he's all out, and I'm okay with that. Montgomery, you heard Brad Holmes, hey, the player's got to want to be here too. Yeah. Well, apparently the player didn't want to be here, and Brad shipped his ass out. Like, if you guys want a villain in charge, don't be shocked when a villain's in charge.
This is what we've been asking for. A GM to not make the emotional decisions, to not stand by. This is not the right phrase of what he could have done with Taylor Decker, but all right, one of your most loved players who we all respect and love, announces his emotional return to the team. He's been mulling retirement. Keep that in mind. Mulling retirement, played, 13, 14 games last year. It would have been easy for Brad Holmes to say, great, you're back. We'll eat that $21 million cap hit, $24 million cap hit next year. We'll eat that, and we'll play with the rest that we have. But no, this is T-Foss saying Brad Holmes wearing his gator boots, his leather loafers. Yeah. He's walking in saying, Taylor, I love you. I respect what you've done for this team, but you're not a $21 million tackle yet. Anymore, I should say. Like,
right.
And correct me if I'm wrong. Restructures tend to convert money into guaranteed signing, like upon that restructure, guaranteed money up front. So maybe he's not making his entire contract this year with the restructure, but he's getting more guaranteed, or at least comparable guaranteed with what he would get next year. Just guaranteeing he's on this team. I don't know the numbers where they were off, but it kind of seems like they were way off in what they wanted.
Yeah, and that's okay. This is business. This is what happens in business. Is the asset worth the investment? Nope, not this year at $21 million, not next year at $24 million. And I'm sorry, you're not worth the investment this year. Love you, Taylor. But nobody here loved Taylor Decker before Brad Holmes came, did they?
I think there are Lions fans who he's been a loyal a stable left tackle. Not all pro, but he's been that Pro Bowl level left tackle for 10 years. Some good years, some mediocre years.
And that's what's cracking me up about all these fans are like, Brad doesn't make moves. Brad doesn't know what he's doing. Brad. I mean, you see it in the chat with Easy. You see it in the chat with Travis. You see Hefe in the chat. Like, these guys, the world is on fire at all times, at all points, because they don't understand what winning football can look like and how it has to be stretched out over a long period of time. I call them Veruca Salt fans. I want my Oompa Loompa, and I want it now, Daddy. That's why I send that Veruca Salt picture all the time in our chat. No, I want a left tackle, and I want it now. I want a new wide receiver now. I want a new quarterback now. And it's just like, guys, do you not realize the guy who built this thing is still tinkering? And I hear so much about Howie Roseman wants to win more than Brad. That was a quote, direct quote from Easy. Go look at Howie Roseman's first 5 years. The dude got demoted after 5 years, out of the GM position because he wasn't succeeding. Then he got it back. And people won't give Brad Holmes the time that he needs to be this. And the story's not written yet. These guys just want to say, it's over. Our window's closed. Why? Was our window closed when Jamal Williams walked out the door, the all-time leading touchdown scorer for the Detroit Lions in a season? We were all like, why would they let him go? Look at the year he just had. Oh, Montgomery came in. Oh, okay, so Brad kind of does have a succession plan. And that's where I just these fools have no idea what the discussions are in the locker room. They have no idea what the discussions are at the business table. They have no idea the phone calls that Brad Holmes is or isn't making. They're all sitting there with their little Twitter fingers, assuming that they know what Brad Holmes is doing, when guess what? You don't, and that's what makes Brad Holmes spectacular.
Jefe, young Hefe. How do you want to respond to that? There were some shots thrown. I don't know if you're all in on the other side. I think you're somewhat reasonable with Brad Holmes, but are you feeling like these were the right moves to make? Are you in the like, what is Brad Holmes doing? I need more now.
I don't feel like I don't feel like I'm questioning Brad Holmes and what he's done, but more of just what he hasn't taken advantage of. What he hasn't taken advantage of, his opportunity to go out there and get someone that a Max Crosby level player who you can pair alongside your other edge rusher in Aiden Hutchinson and have that dynamic duo. This defense is the reason why this Lions team hasn't lived up to its expectations for most part of it, whether it was injuries or just the scheme in general. This defense just hasn't had enough to get timely stops. And then you add on the injuries on top of that. Like, this is a this is a point where I wanted to see Brad Holmes just take advantage of the opportunity that is given, and a player that is obviously disgruntled over there in Las Vegas. We know we know he wants to play for the Lions. We know he wants to come back home. He said it on record. Like, why not make that happen? Why not make that deal? Because then you're set for edge rusher for the next 4 years.
It's definitely a thought. Eric Moy in the chat would have liked to get Max, but could we afford another $40 million D lineman? Almost would rather have let Aleem go in that trade too.
That's the question, right? Like, you say Max wants to be here, but you're not trading with Max. You're trading with the Las Vegas Raiders, who hold the rights to Max. So as much as Max could only want to play in Detroit, it doesn't matter. They had control of him, and they could put him where they want. That's why Brad Holmes sending Stafford to L.A. was a polite thing for him to do. He could have sent Stafford to anywhere he wanted. Could have sent him to Jacksonville. Could have sent him to Carolina. But he did that as a favor to the players. So saying Max wants to be here, that's a non-starter. It doesn't matter that Max wants to be here. It does not matter. His team controls the equity they're getting and the player they're willing to give up. And I love asking this question to the people who are Max Crosby or Brad's a failure. Name one team that has two of the highest paid defensive ends on their team. Just give me one team. Jeff?
Well, they will have the highest paid defensive ends and the Houston Texans. And if they can ever figure out what in the world is going on in the water over there with their receiver situation where they can actually keep some guys healthy over there, then they could have potentially been in the Super Bowl, because that defense was absolutely shut down. And it literally dragged them to the playoffs. It wasn't on the arm of C.J. Stroud. It wasn't because the offense was amazing. It was because that defense literally was just shutting people down. You look at what a lot of what they have is they have two guys that not only can rush the passer, but also great rush defenders as well. Mm-hmm. That's something that would have fit well with the Lions. You have Max Crosby, who an elite pass rusher, but also can, defend the run from the edge. And then you have Aiden Hutchinson, who does the same thing, both at an elite level. Even if you had to give up Aleem McNeil or something like that to get this thing done, like, you do that.
Hey, I would have done it, but there's give and take to it. The Texans, they have this super expensive defense. Well, they have no offensive line. They keep funneling through offensive linemen like Willy Wonka. People buying Willy Wonka chocolate stick. Like, there's give and take to it. So now we have this money freed up with Taylor Decker to pump into the defense or to pump into a center, possibly a former Ravens center, or a right tackle in free agency for a year. But I do think that money is going to go to center and defense. That's where I am. By the way, Andy Bro 23 in the chat. Knox and I are watching and are happy the field goal kicker is signed. Pastor Bates, he's back. Lions tendered him this week too.
And you know what?
I recognize that name. Shout out to you, Dad and son.
You know what, Broder? But you know what? You brought up a good point where the Lions, the Texans don't have a good offensive line. The Lions had a good offensive line. Mm-hmm. They had everything, they had everything intact for that Super Bowl, but they were a piece away, or they were healthy, pieces away. If you were to trade for a guy of that atmosphere, we've been begging for Brad Holmes to go out there and make a trade for the past 2-3 seasons. Like, at the deadline, just go get someone that can help you.
Yeah.
And we didn't see him make any moves that could help us. And that's where we're like, is he ever going to make a move that puts this team over the hump? Because you see a lot of Super Bowl teams, what do? They have to make a trade at the deadline or make a trade during the offseason in order to get their team over the hump.
Right.
In order to go and win that Super Bowl.
It's not always the high money edge rusher. It's for the Seahawks last year, it was Rashid Shaheed, who didn't even do anything on offense. Yep. He was the special teams demon that made it a huge impact for that team down the stretch. Their defense was set also, so that plays into it too. I guess the point I'm making.
But that's exactly what.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm going to say that's exactly what I'm talking about, though, with young Hefe there. It's like, oh, yeah, well, this team, they have great edge rushers. Well, what'd the team do? Well, nothing. Okay, will that make you happy then? Like, is that what you really
But they're in a
want?
different
Is that what you really
situation
want?
than the Lions.
We have Max Crosby and we have Aiden Hutchinson, and we don't have a winning record. Is that better to you than not having Max Crosby and having a winning record?
Well, keep in mind, Max Crosby could have been traded for the past 2 seasons, and you would have had Aiden Hutchinson, Max Crosby, Brian Branch, Kirby Joseph, Jack Campbell. Like that would have been on paper that would have been an elite defense if they can all work together, which we don't know. We don't know what what
We don't know if the safeties are going to be healthy. We don't know if Terrion's going to be playing or playing well.
That's the start of an elite defense. That's the start of a defense that can win you a Super Bowl, that can go out there and shut out a Drake May, that can go out there and shut down opposing offenses, just like the Seahawks did in the Super Bowl. The offense was not over the top, scoring play after play. They scored when
they protected Darnold, and they had timely touchdowns.
But it was that defense that literally just held them down the whole entire time, and just absolutely they destroyed the Patriots offense. There was nothing the Patriots offense could do to that Seahawks defense to get them, even remotely close to the red zone. So that's like where I'm thinking, like, if you make a trade like that, you have an elite defense like that now you don't have to rely on your king and stick and Jared Goff and his arm. You make his job a lot easier. That's what we always talk about. That's what Jared Goff needs. He needs his job to be easier. He needs a great defense behind him. He needs this great offensive line behind him. Like, go out and get the players that are going to make his job easy.
Yeah, same with Gibbs, same with Montgomery and St.Brown. And like when that offensive line faltered, they all faltered. It wasn't just Goff. Jahmyr Gibbs, the guy who is about to become the most expensive running back in NFL history, did nothing without a decent offensive line. It's the same as Goff. You build the offensive line, Goff has success, Gibbs has success, this offense is rolling. Can you do that knowing Taylor Decker's only going to play 13 games, maybe, at $21 million? Like this is where I want to ask you one last time, Hefe. The roster today, the team is not as good as it was earlier in the week. But do you see how some of these moves are setting Brad Holmes up to make the next move, which he just has to do, but there's an opportunity for this team to get better based on these moves?
I mean, absolutely. I mean, like, I was in favor of a David Montgomery trade. Like, I thought that writing was on the wall. I thought it was going to be, this is going to be a split no matter what. We heard that, maybe he wanted to stay now after conversations with Petzing and stuff like that. But obviously they ended, moving apart. And what you got for him, that's a great haul for what you got for him. Like, that is a great haul. And then you do save money with Taylor Decker. So that's more money for you to play with in free agency. Now, the only question is he going to do it?
Right.
Is he going to go out there and spend that money?
That's why he has to.
That's going to be something that if he doesn't do that, now Stick gets to begin the questioning.
Oh, yeah. If Goff doesn't restructure, if Brad Holmes sticks with Jedrick Wills at tackle, like then you can say all you want to Stick and me and anyone who's like, all right, I believe Brad Holmes is about to do something. We still got time for that to happen. I'm expecting a Goff restructure any minute now, like literally any minute. I know some people were freaking out that like Brad Holmes asked Taylor Decker to restructure before Goff. We don't know when they asked who to restructure. Goff will restructure.
They don't know anything.
Goff is not dumb.
They don't
and
know
he knows
anything.
he can't carry a $69 million cap hit because he knows he needs an offensive line. How about this?
Well,
Stick?
I mean, we can argue. One could that he doesn't need an offensive line because horrible offensive line this season and still pretty damn good numbers for a quarterback. So that narrative that Goff needs everything to be perfect kind of went away in my eyes this year.
He doesn't need everything to be perfect,
and he's still right.
He needs the offense to be competent. He's elite with the top 10 offensive line. He's very good with the top 20 offensive line. He's not very good with the bottom 20 bottom 10. Like, he's borderline bad.
You can say that about every quarterback. You can say that about every quarterback in the league.
Right.
Name one quarterback that's elite with a shitty offensive line.
Some are better with a shitty offense, like the mobile quarterbacks, the Lamars. Caleb Williams is better with a crappier offensive line because he can escape. But, I've talked on this show before. I don't know if we've had this conversation, but, like, if you're a Super Bowl caliber team or wannabe, and there are 60 plays in a game, how many do you expect to break down? Like maybe 10, like 8 to 10 broken down in a 60-play game on average? Don't you want, and those are hypothetical numbers, don't you want the quarterback who you can count on for those 50 plays where your team is executing on time versus the quarterback that can make a little more happen maybe in the 8 to 10 that break down? I'll take the stability.
I mean, it all goes back to, the Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Jared Goff, right? Like, this things is not like the other, but one of those things has been to a Super Bowl also. Right. And, you can give me all the mobile talent. You can give me all the arm strength in the world. But, between the ears, I think Goff out processes those guys and makes better decisions. And, I'd love to see what Josh Allen could do with a shitty offensive line. We've seen what Lamar Jackson did. Like Lamar Jackson, you had to completely restructure your whole team to come up with a new offense for him, and it hasn't worked for the Ravens. It's worked for Lamar Jackson. He's got an MVP, but great. What is that? Is that the Super Bowl? Because I'm told it's Super Bowl or bust. Yeah. So if it's get our quarterback an MVP and now we're good, no, I don't. I just don't see it, and that's where I get so frustrated with people who want to just throw Goff away when, he needs a perfect offensive line. Well, no, you saw this past year, he didn't. Oh, he needs this. Well, no, actually, he's been to two teams that elevate him. So I've been over the Goff thing at nauseum. If you don't like him by now, you ain't going to like him. But I think this still is more about Brad Holmes and the Brad Holmes detractors and the people that, they don't love what Brad Holmes is giving them. And, I'm happy with those. The people that are complaining usually don't know ball.
Yeah. Stick, how do you compare, or do you compare the two players, Decker and Montgomery, and how they left? Do you view them differently? And you told me you got ripped a little bit for, was it after Decker? You're like, all right, good riddance, basically, which is what I said after Montgomery was traded. Like, I kind of got hit in our group chat for that too. And I've had a moment, or I've had a couple days to think about it, and I still can't get over how David Montgomery left. It was weird. Before I talk, what do you think of the two?
Not ideal, right? But once again, was David Montgomery a ascending player? No, he wasn't. He was descending. That his value was lowered with the Lions last year. I think all of us agree. In the playoff game against Washington, like one of the biggest rips after that was they didn't use Jahmyr Gibbs enough. They were trying to force Montgomery. Then, of course, last season they went to Jahmyr Gibbs a little bit more. Then it kind of just phased him out of the game. And that's like, once again, this is where Lions fans who've never like watched or really dissected what winning teams do understand that you move on from good players sometimes. And that's just part of it. And thank you for your service. We appreciate you, but the team is bigger than any individual, and I will continue to believe that, especially under this regime. And I will continue to believe that these guys know what the hell they're doing. And we want to go back to signing a Max Crosby and paying him another $40 million. All right, then what are you paying Jahmyr Gibbs next year when you got to make him the highest paid running back in the league? How do you come up with that money? What are you doing when you got to retain Jack Campbell? What are you doing when Amon-Ra say, like, the list keeps going of ending players on and on and on and on and on. Money doesn't just sit there. They're going to have to spend it on the players that they've invested in for the future. Taylor Decker, he was old Lions. It's over. And I love what he did here. Very nice guy. I was happy to see him get a playoff win, sticking it out with the Lions through the doldrum years. But guess what? Once again, before Brad Holmes got here, do you think any of us would give a shit if Taylor Decker got traded?
No.
No.
It'd just be another year.
It would have just been, oh, man, he was a nice tackle, but, he had to go. And it's like, okay, but now that everybody is football experts because they know what more than Brad Holmes does. It's just a bizarre state of Lions fandom right now to where they're an entitled group, an unappreciative group. And I'm not talking about all of them. There's some really good Lions fans out there, but I've seen it over the past 2 years. And, if you go watch the post-game show with me and Anson, and just like the evolution of us being happy popping a bottle after one win, like where we were to where we are, and people still want to question the men who built this house for us, just doesn't make sense to me, especially so early in a GM regime. Like, they had to get rid of 75 years of ghosts. 75 years of ghosts. And they've done it. And now our panic level is 9-8. Our panic level is a winning season. And they're still like, oh, well, Brad Holmes doesn't know what he's doing. Even with all the injuries, even with all the turnover, we still had a winning team last year. So until he shows me massive regression, I can't doubt the man that actually fed us. I can't say, no, I want to go back to the Stafford-Millen era because we had Taylor Decker and Matthew Stafford. That doesn't matter. They never won a playoff game.
0.
Winning matters. 0.
It does.
0.
Big M53 in the chat said they're going to run Gibbs into the ground. Gibbs won't be able to take the pounding carry after carry. I do want to talk more about it, but you guys, does it feel like there was a large portion of the fan base that like almost martyred David Montgomery? They're we're talking about the highlight films when he comes back to Ford Field and whatnot. Here's my thing with David Montgomery compared to Taylor Decker. Taylor Decker been a Lion for 10 years, been a Pro Bowl caliber player. And after Mullen retirement, announced he was going to return, and the team came to him and asked him to take less money. I have no problem with a player like that betting on himself, saying, no, this is the contract I signed. If that's what you want, whatever number lines you presented, I'm going to have an amicable breakup, and I'm going to go play in the NFL for at least one more year. I have no problem with Taylor Decker doing that. As long as he doesn't go to the Bears, Packers, or Vikings, I'll root for Taylor Decker. Now, David Montgomery.
I don't care where he goes.
Yeah, me neither. Just don't go in division. And honestly, if you go to one of those teams,
we appreciate it.
We see you're declining. I don't know how mad I would be, but just don't go to the NFC North. David Montgomery, though, I have a really hard time with this, and I don't hate the guy. I don't want to question his what kind of man he is, but one of the reasons, the main reasons he became one of, if not my favorite player on the Lions, was because how he presented himself in that opening press conference and literally everything he said up until about a month and a half ago, up until the beginning of January. And it's not the end of the world. You're an aging running back who still has some in the tank and wants to go be a lead back. On the surface, go get your money. I have no problem with that. But, don't come out in your press conference and say you'll do anything Dan Campbell asks of you, you'll do it. You'll be a punt return, a gunner on punt. You'll carry Goff. Just don't say it. Just don't say it. Taylor Decker didn't say, I'll play for the Lions forever no matter how much money they pay me. No, Taylor Decker said all the right things along the way, other than I'll give whatever money back or playing time. David Montgomery said all the right things, and the only thing that changed was his number of carries that we all could have predicted from the very moment he signed that Jahmyr Gibbs was drafted that same year. He's going to be the future star and lead back. And, hey, a newsflash, every team in the NFL has 2 running backs. Saquon isn't the same Saquon anymore. Derrick Henry. You're going to share carries no matter what. So just don't say it. Stig, I just became a dad, and I want my kid to grow up believing that there are teammates like that truly will do anything it takes for their team to win. So I don't know. I don't hate David Montgomery. Brad Holmes got a comparable haul for an almost 30-year-old running back. It rubbed me the wrong way of how it went. And everything he said in his little note after was perfect too. But all right, if you mean all that stuff, they didn't ask you to take less money. why do you not want to play him?
I think both things can be true. Like, listen, at the beginning of a relationship, you're much different than you are a year or two into the relationship. Like when he first got here, it is all sunshine and rainbows, and I will carry water bottles. But like people change over the course of a couple years. I'm not.
But he got more
I'm not
money.
upset by how he left.
Over the course of a couple of years, the Lions gave him more money.
Yep.
They rewarded him. And it was a bad season this last year. And side note, it was the time when Johnny Morton was calling plays where Montgomery actually got the most touches throughout the season. So once Dan Campbell started taking over, his rushes declined, but also the offensive line play declined. The run game disappeared. If the team played better, David Montgomery's at 200 carries. Like, he had 160 last year. Gibbs had 240. If the team played better, he's getting more carries. I don't know. I'm just
I think you brought up a great point that's making a lot of people uncomfortable. When we drafted Penei Sewell, what was the future of him going to look like? He was always going to be our starting left tackle down the road, right?
Yeah.
When we drafted Jahmyr Gibbs that high in the first round, he was always going to be the premier ball carrier, right?
Yeah.
I just don't think people realized what needed to happen to get those two in that position. And that's what's scaring people. And this is, once again, Brad Holmes' succession plan. Listen, I drafted young guys. They're ascending. Penei Sewell, the future was always going to be to move him to left tackle. That's what's going to happen this year. Drafting Jahmyr Gibbs that high, the future was always going to be to give him 250 carries, make him a part of the offense in a big way and have someone as a serviceable backup. I just don't think, once again, that this fan base is ready to let go of the people that they love, knowing that, hey, 4 years ago when we drafted Penei Sewell, it was always written on the wall that he was going to be our starting left tackle in 4 years. Yeah. Always. We're lucky to get those extra couple years out of Decker because immediately, like, Penei Sewell didn't have to start at right tackle. He should have punted Decker year one. We know that now.
That's what Nick Bosa said the Lions should do.
Well, remember when they started talking about Penei at right tackle? Oh, he's going to have to step back with a different foot. He's not going to be the same type of blocker. Oh, yeah. He needs to stay at left tackle. And there was all that people crying about. Why would you draft a guy and put him at right tackle? It's like, well, because you had a serviceable left tackle, but the succession plan was always Penei Sewell at left tackle. So if you didn't know that Taylor Decker was going to be moved on from when they drafted Penei Sewell, you're stupid. If you didn't know the secondary running back was always going to be who's opposite of Jahmyr Gibbs, you're stupid. And I'm just tired of dealing with stupid fans, not only in the Woodward chat, but I go on Twitter and I see stupidness. I see it in the chat right now. Oh, Brad's got us stuck. Stuck at what? A winning franchise that has a shot to make the playoffs and win a Super Bowl every year? Oh, no.
LFIV in the chat. Monty wants more touches in a key role. That wasn't happening in Detroit anymore. He got sent to a team that fits for him. It's all good. See ya. Yep. Once again,
and they released Mixon. We can go get Mixon.
We'll talk about who the Lions should replace. But last note, Brad Holmes subtly, you mentioned it with the Stafford trade, making sure he got to a team he wanted to go to with his love affair with McVay. He did it with DeAndre Swift, sending him home to Philadelphia. The same offseason they signed Montgomery. And now they send Montgomery to Houston where he wanted to play with all his other Iowa State teammates. I don't know what offensive line he's going to be running behind, but he's going to have a good time with his boys down there. So, to me, Stick, I don't know if you were here at the beginning. I thought this was the most impressive week of Brad Holmes' Lions career. And it was the most uncomfortable week I've had, I think, in the 5 years he's been here. And I think that's why it was the most impressive to me. Move on from some of these key guys, make these hard decisions, including Glasgow, we're going to hear more names coming up. I'm impressed that now we finally have a GM who isn't making emotional decisions. It's time to go get a Super Bowl. And with a hole at left tackle now, can we all agree?
You don't have a hole at left tackle.
Penei Sewell's over at left tackle. So we got Penei at left tackle, Tate Ratledge at right guard, maybe center. We'll call it right guard. What do the Lions do now? There's a need for a tackle now, not a developmental tackle. Mm-hmm. There's a need for a right tackle. Do you go after that?
Don't sleep on Miles Frazier. Don't sleep on Miles Frazier either. I liked what he put on tape last year. I think he's flexible. He can play anywhere. I actually liked him at center. He could be your center position because that's what he played in college a little bit as well. And Tate Ratledge can play guard on either side. So let's just run it through. You go Penei Sewell left. You go Tate Ratledge left guard. Then you go Miles Frazier at center. And then we got to fill out the right side of the line. So, I mean, I'm not panicking over it. I wish there was an apparent solution staring us right in the face. But at the same time, I trust Brad. I know that they're going to fill those gaps. And I know that it's just going to be business as usual in Allen Park started this season where, it's weird because the Vegas still has the Lions favored to win the NFC North. Why doesn't Vegas think the sky is falling like these fans? I mean, because, Vegas doesn't know what the hell they're there to lose money, right? That's what Vegas is there for.
Right. Xavier D in the chat. Mahogany and Frazier are not starting NFL linemen. Let's continue this offensive line talk, but Stick, we got some new blood here in the studio. We got some new attendees to the show, both in the sound booth. What up, Crash Out Willie? Good morning.
Welcome. Oh, it's good to be back.
It's great to have you back. And to my right on the desk, Mr. Brandon, Detroit Kool Aid Dent.
Up,
fresh off a late night with the Pistons.
Yeah.
Was that a 30-point choking?
23 points.
23-point choking?
JB was not happy.
No.
At all.
They lost that game?
Bro.
Right.
That was a tough
I turned it off and went to bed.
Oh, no. That was a Stick. That was a tough one. Even in media, we were all scratching our head. JB Bickerstaff came to the podium. I even asked him, I was like, JB, was there anything execution-wise they did, or was it a lack of execution? He was like, no. This was all on he's pissed. So that was a tough one, Stick. If I was at home, I would have cut that one off with like 5 minutes to go and felt good. But
yep.
That was a tough one, man.
Is that a good loss? Is it a learning loss, Kool Aid?
Heck no.
Okay.
That's a loss that can never. I'm still pissed about this. Shout out to the people for supporting us last night on the stream too, both in arena as well as on the stream. A lot more people are saying, "Yo, what up, though, Woodward Sports?" So it's dope. It's dope.
Let's go. Our guy, Caseville Country Boy Stick. Am I watching the St.Brown podcast right now or Woodward Sports? I just got called a stupid fan that doesn't know what he's talking about. Stick? I know you and Caseville Country Boy are tight.
There we go.
Yeah, no, he is a stupid fan. Every week he's in the chat talking dumb shit. So, and it's okay. Like, he's an inexperienced fan. He only watches Lions football. He doesn't watch other NFL teams. He doesn't understand what other GMs do. And I love those fans because they're cute. It's like, aw, you just became a fan, and now you have crazy opinions that nobody's ever executed. And, oh, yes, we should – you know what we should do? We should go get Patrick Mahomes, and we should get Max Crosby, and we should go get every elite player and just pay them all because salary cap doesn't exist.
How about this, Stick? 313 Thug Livin'. Murray would electrify this offense. Kyler Murray. Electricity.
Yeah, I can answer for that. You want me to, Stick? I can answer for that.
And that's a anti-golfer saying, right?
No, thank you.
Accept that, correct? No, Kyler?
Yeah, I think he should go play baseball. It might be beneficial for him to switch back.
Pitchers are getting paid in baseball this year.
It's hard because he had an electrifying, first rookie season and a couple good seasons after that, but it's like, what really can you do? He's 5'10". He can't even see over the offensive line. It's not much there. There's not much there.
No.
Cliff Kingsbury was the worst.
They
choosing him over Cliff Kingsbury, like, that was the fate of Arizona when they decided to choose the quarterback over the coach. Like, that was it.
That was it. For this Lions team, and for everyone joining halfway through the show, this is First to the Whistle. We're here every Sunday morning on the Woodward Sports Network from 8 to 9:30 a.m. talking Lions football. Just seems like every week previously there's been something happening on Saturday night or Sunday morning. Gold medal victory for the hockey team. We got Team USA baseball last night. Pistons tough loss last night. The offseason in the NFL stuff still happens.
Man.
But right before we took that little halfway point break, we're talking, what do they do with this offensive line now that Taylor Decker is no more? Penei Sewell moves over to the left. That's a guarantee. Now, what do you do with the other four? Does this mean you have to draft a tackle in the first round? Is it an absolute must? At pick 17, Brad Holmes sends in the ticket for a tackle.
I won't say absolutely a must, but it's something that is definitely now it's a little bit more of a guard was more of a heavy position for us there, or edge rusher that's what I've been saying, edge rusher. But yeah, now you got to throw offensive tackle into that mix of equal importance to edge and
but which do you do first? Which do you draft a tackle, or are you signing a veteran right tackle for a year or two?
And what's the priority on that offensive line now? Because we just believed, like a week ago, right, about a week ago, that we had Taylor Decker back, Penei Sewell might stay in his place, things of that nature. Now a week later, you're in a different position. Which ones are you, or how are you prioritizing that offensive line?
I'll tell you how I do it. You just saved about, $11-12 million with Decker. Is that approximate cap savings? You were thinking, and I still like this plan, but you're going and maybe paying Caden Mays, the center, was it about $12-13 million? Call it 11.
Is that unanimous? Everybody is for, let's get us a seasoned center.
I think that's very clear.
Yeah,
it's necessary.
But that's the push button, right? I just expect
that's what I would do.
I expect it.
I feel like I've heard some, not pushback, but other theories. I'm paying a center, and with that Decker money, if you're paying $10-12 million to one center, I'm paying 22 to a center who used to play for Baltimore. Like, it is a lot to pay for a center. Not many teams can do it or want to do it or should do it. But if you're the team Dan Campbell says he wants to be, it all starts up front. And what starts the offensive line is the center. So why not go get the biggest, baddest center in the run and pass game and just let's run. And if you pay him, you got Penei Sewell at left tackle. You got a top 3 center in the game at center. A really good right guard in Tate Ratledge, who's ascending, who will now be next to an all-pro center.
I think he's going to have a good year or two leap, especially playing with this better offensive line that you're putting together.
Yeah, and now your left guard is playing between Linderbaum or Cade Mays and Penei Sewell. So where you were the weakest at left guard, whether that's Mahogany, Frazier, I hope they weren't planning on Juice Scruggs, but whoever is there, your job just got a lot easier because Penei Sewell is to your left. And you have a veteran center at your right. And that's what I hesitate maybe moving Miles Frazier to center. Not that he can't do it, but it's another year that he needs to learn. Even Ratledge, it's another year that he's got to learn and get acclimated. And then you got to pay a veteran guard anyway. So why don't you, we talked about it last week, go and draft Ioane out of Penn State. Go and draft the left guard out of Penn State, who's one of the best pass blocking guards we've seen in the last 5 to 10 years. Or you don't want to use your first round pick on him, or he's not there anymore. Go get that Emmanuel Pregnon out of Oregon at 50 if he's still there. Penei Sewell, one of the 2 best guards in the draft, Linderbaum or Mays, Ratledge, and then either a developmental tackle. Maybe you get Pregnon in the second round and you get Lomu, who can play right tackle. He's not going to be your all-pro right tackle, but he's going to be steady. Or you get the kid out of Clemson, Blake Miller. Or out of Arizona State.
That's my guy.
Yeah.
That's my guy, the Clemson guy.
Get someone who can step in at right tackle, hold down the force as a young right tackle while you're next to Ratledge, all-pro center.
It's like, sign me up.
I know, right?
But we need that. We just looking at last year, even though some people look at the passing game and say that it wasn't as consistent or as dominating when you look at the time of possession in certain in-game and end-of-half situations, it was the running game that really, really, really got me. I would say it depressed us a little bit, man.
Yeah.
You got what we had coming into that year as many people deemed the best running back room in all the NFL.
Easy, hands down.
Hands down. And we all know that Jahmyr Gibbs is special. So when he's not looking as special, that's where I'm like, hey, you know what? Stop everything. Get that offensive line right. Like I had been for a couple weeks bouncing back and forth between the secondary as a whole or offensive line. But when I remember back when the Lions were hot, right? It was that offense that could do anything to make up for what the defense couldn't do. That's their special. That's their superpower. And that's where I want them to get back to that offensive line being absolutely the number one unit on this team. When you say which one's the best, which one's the most elite, it used to be offensive line without a hesitation.
And it has to be that again,
It has
right?
to be that again.
For both Goff and Gibbs and St. Brown and Laporta and J-Mo.
For
And
the time, for
everybody, for the defense.
Because how much did they say certain routes it weren't able to develop, not even just downfield, but there were times where it seemed like Jared Goff had to speed everything up just that much quicker. And I wonder, when you look at Jamison Williams, when you look at Amon-Ra St. Brown, who were, first and third or first and fourth or something like that in the league in drops, that's pretty interesting because we know what Amon-Ra is. I do believe that them being sped up just a little bit with a lot more pressure on them and with a lot less running lanes, with a lot less play action to depend on, I do believe that those things affected those numbers too. Everyone's like, Amon-Ra with drops. He will tell you he has to be better.
Yep.
Just in and of himself.
And he will, right?
He will.
Yeah.
But I do believe that that offensive line goes a long way towards allowing those routes to develop and Goff to say, you know what? I can give him an extra half a step to clear and give him a much better pass, much better window. But this year we saw Jared Goff having to do a few extra things and those guys probably having to get into those targets a little bit sooner than what the play actually called for.
Yeah, Stick, how often in the past have we seen Goff, when pressure is coming, he's able to plant his back foot, step into the throw, take the hit, and deliver it to St. Brown, to Josh Reynolds, Tim Patrick, to J-Mo. Last year, especially the second half of the year, it's like he's planting on his back foot and having to get rid of it. Or even there were a couple of games where he looked a little spooked. That Vikings game at the end of the year, he's just trying to get rid of it. I don't blame him, but it looked different than when he was getting pressure the year prior. So, like you said, the last couple of weeks, Stick, they probably should have tried to retain an offensive coordinator internally and gone externally for the defensive coordinator because the dominance of their offensive line and the offense helped make up for some of the lackluster mistakes, errors, play of the defense. So, I don't know. They all play off each other. Dan Campbell talks about complementary football. You got to have that offense that can run the ball to be able to pass the ball, to be able to control the time of possession so your defense can get on the field, rested, ready to go get the – oh, yeah, they haven't done that. But ready to stop the run.
And there it is.
Oh,
there it is, right?
Like this
is, we spend so much time focused on this offense. So much time focused on this offense that was a top 5 offense, has been a top 5 offense for the past 3 years. And we just give the defense such an out. Like, I was at the L.A. game this year in L.A., went out there with my best friend Wellington, and he got us some great tickets. And the offense clicked in the – shout out Wellington. The offense clicked in the first half, and the defense, all they had to do was hold in the second half, and they just couldn't get it done. So that's where, I know we want to go first round, let's take care of the offensive line. But I think we had the discussion last week. I want this whole draft to be about the defense. The defense, we just saw Seattle win a championship off the defense with Sam Darnold at quarterback, right? And so, the offense is one thing, losing Taylor Decker, and kind of to pivot real quick, when you were talking, do you think part of the conversation with Taylor Decker was, hey, we're moving you to right tackle this year, and no right tackle is going to make the amount of money that you are making. So if you want to play for us, you're going to be on the right side, and you're making $10 million.
I doubt it.
I think that was the conversation that pushed him over the top. And I wasn't in the room. I don't know.
Okay, yeah. But if you're not going to move him when Penei Sewell's a rookie, why would you move him 11 years in? He's not the athlete.
Well, no, because here, it's a very simple explanation why you would do that. Because when Penei Sewell was drafted, Taylor Decker was here. Penei Sewell was maybe here with the potential to be here, right? Well, during that time, Penei Sewell got to his potential and Decker regressed. So where do you want the player that's peaking at his potential and the player that's regressing? Well, you want to protect the quarterback's blind side with the better player, and you want to move the player that's regressing to the right side, which is less vulnerable for your quarterback because he can see the blitz coming right at him. So to me, that's what makes the most sense about the Taylor Decker deal is like, hey, guy, you're coming in here. We want you back. Penei's the left tackle. You know why? Because he's the best fucking lineman that we've ever seen in football. And you got to move to the right side. With that right side comes a pay cut. Are you willing to do it? And to me, that's what makes sense about the Tucker situation. But not to pivot back to that, I was just, while you were talking, that's what
Yeah,
I was
no.
thinking. And then when we go back to the draft, defense. I want defense. We need defense. Free agency, spend it on defense. We've seen that a patchwork offensive line will still net us a top 5 offense. If we could just get a top 10 defense to match with it, we're in the conversation.
But that top 5 offense wasn't good enough last year. Just because they were top 5 doesn't.
Tell that to the 27 teams below that offense.
Yeah. What about the how many teams made the playoffs? Or all of the NFC North teams ahead of the Lions? They finished in last.
I think
it wasn't the right offense. The numbers were there, but they didn't move the sticks.
Situationally, it wasn't like
See, you're blaming the offense. It wasn't the offense. It was the defense.
It was both of them.
What do you mean?
It was a complete meltdown, top to bottom. Jahmyr Gibbs, even when the offense was humming, Jahmyr Gibbs was having 1 or 2 good games in a row and then a clunker. He would have 175 yards in one game because he had 2 70-yard touchdown runs because he broke it, because he's insane, not because the offense was able to dominate the game and control the ball like they have in years past. It just looked different, and it wasn't good enough because they had no defense too.
I think it was down the stretch is where you seen – the problem with the offense didn't look good enough because they couldn't run the ball. It was Gibbs couldn't run the ball.
Clock.
Monty couldn't run the ball. There was a lot,
and they
of
couldn't
drops.
get into play action.
There was a lot of drops. You were missing Sam Laporta. That's why the offense kind of took that step back and started to look a little bit less. But
they lost their blocking tight ends.
But I do agree with Stick though, because I'm all for fixing this defense. Like, this defense needs to be fixed. It can't.
Yeah.
You can't keep rolling out this defense. You can't keep rolling out this, type of play and expect your offense to always come through and save you, because that is hard to do in this league, especially when the teams that are actually building defenses the right way and have dogs on the other side of the field, like, that makes the job tough for the offensive line. Offense in general. And also you have a new offense coordinator. Like, you allow him to, with a good defense, you allow him to kind of ease his way in, try to figure things out, and it's not so much pressure put on, Drew Petzing and Dan Campbell to figure this offense out when this defense needs to be able to play at that same level.
True. Kool Aid.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna take. I don't know if Stick meant it like 100%. I don't want to do a thing with the offense. I just want to draft defense and sign free agent defenses. I'm gonna expand that, not to take words out of his mouth, but if that's the only thing the Lions did,
yes, sir,
and you walked into 2026, the beginning of the 2026 season, with your offense as is, are you comfortable? Are you comfortable with Penei Sewell, Frazier or Mahogany, maybe Scruggs at center, and Jedrick Wills at right tackle? Or
wake me up out of this nightmare.
You got to do something, right?
Look, when 2 years ago, because trust me, I want the defense good, but
yes.
I don't know necessarily if Brad Holmes has shown me he can build an absolute elite defense and find the coach to make it absolutely elite. He has shown me though he can make the offense elite. And when it was, even though the defense wasn't that great, we saw this team reach its peak. Since that balance has been shifted is where I'm looking at this thing and I'm saying, you know what? Can we at least take me back to the good old days, which was just a few short years ago? And that's where I kind of want them to attack this thing. Now, look, where I do agree with what Stick was saying, and I thought might have been on an island, I believe that offensive line should be something, at least for this vacuum of a Super Bowl year, if you can find those guys in free agency, obviously a veteran center and maybe a tackle, and then you roll with the guards that you have, you know what? I think I'm more fine with that. And then in the draft, where I believe you're looking for a pass rusher, you're looking to see, who can we start to build around as it relates to that secondary? I do believe that you can get by with more serviceable players on the defensive side, especially since they've already told us we don't necessarily value getting the 2 all-universe, tandem at edge rush.
Right.
They said they knocked on doors of Hendrickson. We know he's available. We know they knocked on the door of Max Crosby. But he went for literally just 2 first-round picks. If they wanted it, I feel like they could have just done it. So that's where I'm like, you know what? Based on where you're valuing things, I wouldn't mind them going ham about the drafting defense and then in free agency going after the offensive line. I really wouldn't.
Yeah, Xavier DT. Our front 7 was healthy all year. That's on Kelvin Shepard. He sucked, he says. Big M answered my question.
Lose the safeties, though.
Not with a limited mobility QB behind that line, Matt. And I believe that was responding to my question. Are you comfortable if the Lions roll into this season with the offensive line as is? I'm certainly not comfortable. Mark Peston, 7686. If they don't rework Goff's contract, we are moving on from Goff with some pain for at least 2 years. Yeah, be that'd be a tough 2 years, most likely. You got to do a little bit of both.
Yeah,
I'm not going to be mad if they go 2 edge rushers round 1 and round 2. You better supplement the offensive line in free agency,
or
that. Know you got a guy in the 3rd round that you want to use some of the capital you got in the Montgomery trade to move up. If there are multiple players that you believe, I'm cool drafting energy and athleticism on the defensive end. Draft the rookies who can go in. Maybe they're not the most complete edge
J-Mo.
rusher.
The philosophy of drafting him.
J-Mo wasn't the complete wide receiver at that point, but he had some elite traits, some traits you've never seen before.
Yep.
And can we coach him up the other things?
And they knew that they could.
I'm cool going and getting a speed rusher that maybe he struggles a little bit stopping the run, but you got a guy who can go get the quarterback. Maybe you get 2 of those guys versus Keldrick Falk, who he's more complete. He's better at stopping the run. He's that Marcus Davenport body type, not Marcus Davenport. He's just that body type.
You're doing it
seems
again,
to fit the Lions.
You're doing it again.
We better not do it again. Kids, whatever the philosophy
So, Broder.
is. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just going over some stats while you guys are talking. And we're talking about you think the time of possession last year was a big deal for the Detroit Lions and why they weren't successful, right? They couldn't sustain drives. Well, when I'm looking at the NFL time of possession from last year, the Lions are 13th. So arguably above middle of the pack, but let's call it middle of the pack.
Actually a little better than I expected.
The team right below them, the Seattle Seahawks, who went on to win a Super Bowl. You know, the number 1 team in the league was the Buffalo Bills. They didn't accomplish much once it came playoff time. Los Angeles Chargers, number 2. I don't even think did they make the playoffs? Yeah, I think they did. They got bounced first round, right?
Or just
Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah.
Jacksonville Jaguars, Buccaneers, Houston Texans, New England Patriots. So, like, the time of possession thing, I think is clearly important. You do want to be able, but when Seattle's 14 and Detroit's 13, I'm not going to use that as an argument of why the offense isn't elite. They were a top 5 offense, and I'm okay with how much they held on to the ball. I'm not okay with how the defense couldn't stop a nosebleed last year.
I was going to say this, though. It was more situationally for me. I could trust that Seattle in a 3rd down was going to have a better chance of getting that than the Lions. And at the end of games, when you're talking that, I still had a better feeling about their in-game execution than I did about the Lions. And I thought that as the year went on, Seattle's offense wound up getting better towards that back half of the season, whereas in the first half, there wasn't much hope for their offense because their defense seemed to be carrying things. And that was my thing. Whether the Lions sitting at 13th in time of possession, what I remember a couple years ago with their offense is that we could come in here and diagnose Dan Campbell's only giving that other team 1, maybe 2 possessions max in that whole entire quarter. And then we knew in the end of games, he was able to go and ice away drives, like long drives, 7, 8, 9 minutes. And those are the things, when I say time of possession, like controlling the game, those are some of the things that I felt like was just missing last year when you can't pick up those thirds or even the 4th downs, the short yardage touchdowns. That's used to seem automatic.
Yeah, I'm with you, and thanks for pointing that out, Stick. I got to put
Detroit was 19th. Detroit was 19th in 3rd down conversions last year, so that's a good point, Kool Aid.
Yeah, there's some nuance to it, so I probably shouldn't have just said just time of possession. Yeah. They were in so many more 3rd and longs, 3rd and 8s. They weren't successful on 4th down.
Explosive plays.
Yeah, they weren't great in the red zone. They weren't all. There are many more factors of what that offensive line allowed you to do. Remember that the Rams victory 2 years ago was the first game of the season where Ben Johnson, the offense, they figured it out for 4 quarters, and then all of a sudden, they're like, all right, let's hand it off to Montgomery 9-10 times in a row behind Penei Sewell and just dominate. They couldn't do that last year. So I appreciate that, Stick.
And
Yeah.
you guys bring
Yeah,
up
because we'd like to.
That was better time of possession.
Oh, go ahead.
It was. I
go ahead,
expected it
Evan,
to be
but-
bottom half.
Yeah. I didn't think they were 13.
No, but this is where, like, doing research and actually knowing stuff, and like while we're talking through things, like, oh, that's a good point, let's look it up. So that's where, like, I get frustrated with a lot of the fans, that even if you present them with something that, like, shows them that they were wrong, it's like, oh, well, but, like, that's why I enjoy talking to intelligent people like you, Broder, where it's like, oh, that wasn't as bad as I thought. Okay, well, it must have been something else. And then Kool Aid dissected it, and now we realize it wasn't really about the time they possessed. It was about them not being able to convert third downs when they needed, because, bottom half of the league in that is not a good thing. So this is where I just love guys like Caseville to actually learn how to read, learn how to use the computer system to Google stats, and then come up with an opinion, not just sit in your shanty cooking cheeseburgers and then telling people they don't know what they're talking about.
I like cheeseburgers.
Cheeseburgers are good. You got something to say, though, Jeff?
Caseville Cheeseburger Festival is elite. I doubt that guy's ever shown up, though.
Cheeseburger Festival in Caseville is elite.
So I did
It's
want to bring
elite,
up,
bro. That's all I know of Caseville and this idiot.
I want that Lions poster behind Stick. I'm sorry. I've just been looking at that poster all show. Like, you know what I need?
Rawr.
Rawr.
I did want to bring up to you guys, because we did talk about what could the Lions potentially do at offensive line, especially when you talk about free agency. Yeah. So let me just give you some of the names. I'll give you top 3 names, because that's all there is.
Get me fired up, man.
Top 3
we
names.
need this offensive line. Great.
Top 3 names of tackles, especially like right tackle. So right tackle, I'll give you Jawan Taylor. Is that a pass? You thinking of doing that, or
Do you have money associated with this, or are you just talking player?
Yep. I want you to tell me if you do the player, and then I'll let you know how much he costs.
Just the player at right tackle. I need to know how much it costs, because I want to say no. But is he less than $10 million? I doubt it.
$14.9 million evaluation right now.
I wouldn't.
We're talking about a player who has, jumped off sides.
Yeah, I can't stop seeing that.
Started more than anyone in NFL history.
I can't stop seeing that.
Braden Smith was right tackle for the Colts. His evaluation is $13.5 million.
I like Braden Smith. He was a little banged up last year. I'd go for Braden Smith at $13 million.
Is that a Brad Holmes guy?
13.5.
Maybe. I don't know enough about him. Like, I know a little bit about his game.
We can start with the injuries.
And you look at the Colts' run game the last couple of years. You look at it when he was playing. Jonathan Taylor had some of his best, did some of his best work with him healthy. So I would go yes.
And then last right tackle, Jonah Williams, who was the right tackle for the Arizona Cardinals. Remember, he was tackled over there protecting Joe Burrow, and never could get that right. He has a $10 million evaluation.
I like that number. I like that number, but
you seem more excited about Smith, though.
Yeah, I like that player.
Yeah.
I maybe pay a little bit more for him, but I'm not educated enough to know how much better he is than Jonah Williams. What stands out to me about him is that he played under Drew Petzing last year. The last 3 years.
The thing to think about, though, is with signing a tackle is, for one, most of these guys, if they're elite, they usually don't hit free agency because their team wants to keep them. And that's kind of the situation where the Lions find themselves in with this free agency class, especially with left tackle and right tackle, is it's really those 3 guys I named. And Cam Robinson, who was left tackle for the Browns, and he carries a $13.1 million evaluation. So are you going to spend the capital getting a tackle in free agency and spending $13.1 million or more, up to 15, to get a a tackle that
Yeah.
you could have for probably the next 3 years, or do you want to hit the draft? Because
I'm drafting.
and when
one.
you look at what the center position gives you, you have Cade Mays, who everyone's talk about, that's a $12.6 million evaluation, and you have Linderbaum, who's a almost $18 million evaluation.
I'd pay
who's
either of those
Probably
guys.
going to want to be the highest paid center in the NFL.
Yep.
And then after that, you go down a little bit to, I guess the next best center after that would be Lloyd Cushenberry, who's at
Got a great name.
$7 million.
Yeah, shout out Mad Packs.
evaluation
Shout out Lou.
Mr. Kush.
Yeah. I'm going
Pass
in the
the
draft.
Kush.
I think we found our center.
Yeah, there we go.
Hell
We
yeah.
got sponsorship deals lined up. NIL
A lot of
is headed up to the NFL.
A lot of man packs today. Yeah, let's get the Cushenberry deal.
So it looks like the Lions' best option for tackle is going to be hitting the tackle in the offense. In
the draft.
In the draft.
And you can
Going
find
into the draft and get a one.
I would love if you could get one of the top guys in the first round. Freeling out of Georgia. It was looking like he was going to be a second rounder. Now he might not make it out of the top 10. I'd love one of those guys, but you can find some really good tackles probably at 50.
If you want to
or
grab that,
he's not my favorite player. I've loved going up against him the last couple of years, but you look at a guy like Braxton Jones, who is no longer with the Bears. He's not going to command much money. He probably won't even command more than a year. He had some injuries,
but he was bad.
He was all rookie. He
bad.
had some moments. Is he serviceable under Hank Fraley? I don't know. I'd be.
But can the Lions afford serviceable? Because I don't think the
for-
Lions can afford serviceable.
for 1 year for $4 million,
Yeah.
maybe.
They can.
But
you
you know what
know
I'm realizing too is
But you
that
still want to win now, though.
But-
man.
but they don't have a
well,
choice
if-
though. That's the
It's
thing.
if.
There's too many holes to honestly, there's too many leaks for them to fill the springs. You know what I mean? That
You
to me is what I'm
can't
trying to
have
realize.
all pro players at every position. You just can't do it. This is Heffy. I love you. You're a young guy, but this is my biggest problem. Everyone thinks that if Brad Holmes doesn't have 5 Pro Bowlers around the front, he hasn't done his job. That is not how the NFL works.
Yeah, but
right?
no, but
And
Braxton
so,
Miller's
like,
below.
we can-
He's below average. He's way below average in my opinion, and what you get.
And look at every offensive line
it would be
in
no
the league
better
right
than
now.
playing
They have a below average
Giovanni
player
Manu.
at a position. Like it's so unrealistic to think that every player has to be elite at their position. That doesn't happen. The NFL is made on parity. They did it this way for a reason, and you're never going to get because now you want Max Crosby. And you want the best right tackle in the game. And you want to sign the best center in the game. And you need to get some cornerbacks in here. You want the best cornerback. Okay, those are all great wish lists. And that's such a fan take to me. It's like, oh, well, if we don't get the best in this, and this, it's like you're never going to get the best in those positions. That's not how this game. You have the best left tackle in the game. You have arguably one of the best wide receivers in the game. You have the best linebacker in the game in Jack Campbell. You have one of the best defensive edge rushers. You only get so many bests. The rest of these players are going to be patchwork players that you hope fulfill their potential or go above their pay grade to get you to where you need to be. But continuing to list every position and then saying we need the best at every position, and if Brad doesn't go get this guy, it's a failure, and he can't get a mid-tier guy or he's an idiot. Like, this is how it is, guys. You cannot have the best at every position.
But Braxton
The
Miller's not a
checkbook
mid-tier
just
guy.
doesn't allow it.
Braxton Jones is probably
Braxton
lower,
Jones.
mid to lower.
He's
better
lower
than
tier.
Juice Scruggs. Now,
But he's not. But that's a different position.
well, right, comparably. And Kool Aid, I'm coming to you next because you had something to say. But what Stick was saying, you can't have all pro guys everywhere. But how you handle the rest of the line makes that right tackle position easier for a young guy or a weaker free agent to step in and be successful. If you look to your left and Ratledge is in year 2 playing well, you got Linderbaum and Mays, you got Ioane at left guard, and you got Penei Sewell at left tackle. Then your weak spot is right tackle. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. You don't want your weak spot to be your blind side, and you don't want it to be right up the middle. That's what it was last year.
That's what killed us.
Yes.
It was right up the middle.
So you're going to need to sacrifice a little. I say, I say go get your right tackle in the draft. That would be ideal, or pay a guy 1 year to come in and earn another contract, Braxton Jones, or insert veteran here. What do you think about that?
Look, that's the most comfortable I am, especially if you're assuring me that we have a guy at center who we know is going to be able to open up some holes there. I'm not saying pause. Because we need it. We need it, man. We have to. But the chat, man, this is kind of funny here. Shout out to Steve Wilds. I see you in the chat. He says, good teams go for it during windows and rebuilds. And then Greg Thomas says, need some current lines to step up. And when I was listening to Stick, he's exactly right. You can't have the all-pros everywhere. But Brad Holmes was one of those GMs that I thought was getting close because of how he was drafting. And that's where, when you look at the injuries, basically, and I think a little bit of mismanagement with the secondary overall with those cornerbacks, that created, in my opinion, such a crazy vacuum. Do we even know what's going on with the linebackers? And that's the point. If some of these guys were healthy, if things were okay with Alex Anzalone and these guys are locked in, Brad was finding ways to pay everybody. With those injuries, though, it set things back, in my opinion, so much further that now you're sitting here saying, well, we probably could have been in a position to go out here and make a splash deal or go out there and get this impact player, but now we have to spread that across, like 5, 6, 7, 8 different positions.
Yeah.
And then when you look at the investments that they've made to the defensive line, right? They paid Aiden Hutchinson. They paid Ali McNeil. They spent the draft pick on the interior, right? That's when I'm looking at like, dang, they were never going to sink a whole lot more money into the defensive end, that the opposite of Aiden Hutchinson.
Is that what Greg Thomas was talking about? Some players they got have to play better. What Hutch has to be better. Tyleik Williams has to be better. Ali McNeil, especially with a nearly $30 million cap hit, has to be better.
They got to be better when we're talking about that rush. Aline was supposed to be not just somebody who can be adept at stopping the run and just making a mess in the middle. He was supposed to be somebody that also helps us get pressure. And we get he's coming back from injury, not quite as good as Aiden Hutchinson did in that first year back. But I do believe that Ali McNeil, after kind of getting comfortable, and I was listening to Doc Pierce talk about it, he does believe that certain injuries, they need a certain year. They need a year. He said Jaden Ivey's is similar. Ali McNeil's is similar. You got to kind of play through it. And in that second year back, you're probably going to see him a little bit more back to
Aleem's a big guy. Yep. He's a heavy guy. Like all ACLs or MCLs or PCLs, they're not all made alike. He's not Adrian Peterson. He might be fine. I sure hope he's fine because he got paid and is supposed to be a top 5 defensive tackle.
Yep.
All those guys, I think it was Steve Wilds in the chat, said there are like 10 to 15 holes now. But that front 7 was healthy. They need to be better. And
that's true.
Let's go into this season, unfortunately, thinking that Brad Holmes might not go get the edge rusher or rushers that we, for whatever reason, Brad hasn't shown that he needs sacks and pressure on the quarterback as much as others. That's fine. Well, I don't know if that's fine. But I'm going to say that's fine only if you can stop the run.
That's not fine at all, Broder.
You have to stop the run. If you can't stop the run and you can't get to the quarterback,
I'm so over this.
And your secondary sucks. Go ahead, Stick.
You cut out, Stick.
Oh, no, I was just saying,
You're
I'm
back.
so over this conversation. I said I'm so over opposite end conversation. I've been hearing Chase Young 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And who, by the way, San Francisco signed him. Did they win a Super Bowl? No. I heard it about Zadarius Smith going into last season. If they don't sign Z, oh my God, it's the end of the world. Okay, Howie Roseman got him because Howie Roseman wants to win. And then he retires. It's just, at some point, you got to understand that Brad has addressed this, right? He drafted Pascal in the second round. Now, it hasn't panned out to this point, but to say he hasn't spent draft capital on it, he got Aiden Hutchinson and Pascal in the same draft. Like that he addressed it. Yep. It just hasn't panned out. Mm-hmm. Yep. And then Hassanin last year hasn't panned out. So
that's
you can say
pick.
he right, but Amon-Ra was a 4th round pick.
He was injured. He was injured in camp. He had to come back. At that point, it was pretty much the AQM show alongside of Hutch. So he didn't. There was
Yep.
no real
And who went out and
opportunity
got
for him to go
Zadarius
out there
Smith?
and do it.
313 Thug
When
Love
there
and
had to
signing
be a
Goff
move
should have
made.
been a fireable offense. Caseville Country, by overpaying your bridge
Here we go.
quarterback and
Here we
guaranteeing
go.
$170 million puts us in that position right here, right now. Tell me I'm
stick
wrong.
wound up.
I dare you. You are wrong, Caseville Country boy. You are very, very wrong.
He's going in the chat saying he'd prefer Martin Mayhew over Brad Holmes. That's all you need to know about this guy.
Come on. I was laughing before.
What
Now
a
I was like,
clown.
whoa.
Nick P.
Yeah.
2830.
He also challenged me to a boxing match. Which I would gladly take you up on. I will gladly take you
Let's
up
set it up.
Goodness gracious.
Bogey time 1352. Goff's contract is just a going rate. In fact, Goff's contract is a bargain. And it's going to be even more of a bargain when he restructures. Nick P. 2830. Where are the restructures? I imagine we're going to hear about them today. They have to. You can come to me, and I'll let Stick handle himself. You can come to me and say whatever you want. If Goff does not restructure his contract, I got nothing for you. He has to. He knows it.
I'm looking at who's paid more than Jared Goff right now. Tua Tagovailoa, he's paid more than Goff right now.
Don't
Jordan
lie.
Love, he's paid more than Goff right now. Trevor Lawrence, he's paid more than Goff right now. Dak Prescott, he's paid more than Goff right now. I mean, I just listed 4, and Goff's perennially in the top 5.
I wonder
right?
if anyone would take any of those quarterbacks right now over Jared Goff.
I wouldn't even think about any of those.
I don't even hesitate.
Maybe,
But you know there's
Trevor
gonna be some
Lawrence,
people that do.
maybe.
No.
Yeah.
No.
The other 2 that are above Goff, Josh Allen and Joe Burrow. Those I can argue with. Those that's fine.
I'll take either one of those.
But Justin Herbert makes $500,000 less. Lamar Jackson makes $2 million less. Brock Purdy makes $1 million less. So I just don't understand
Lamar's
these guys.
the only one
This
of
is
that
what I
bunch.
mean. These guys
and
don't
he's
go
about to
and
break the
research.
bank.
Yeah.
He's about to break the bank. They're going to restructure him. And who is below him, too?
He's never won shit. Justin Herbert, never won
yeah.
shit. Brock Purdy, okay. Brock Purdy's won some things.
I think the Seahawks.
Not a Super Bowl, which is the litmus test, right?
Yeah. 100%. They had a lot of opportunities to get there.
The Seahawks and the Patriots gave
Yeah,
us probably everything we needed to see to understand not the blueprint, but a blueprint for how to be successful. Yeah, it's for the Seahawks. It's let's have this incredible defense and an offense that doesn't turn the ball over, that has a run game that prioritizes the run game, and then you have explosive plays, or you have one of the top wide receivers in the NFL that can carry you when Sam Darnold needs to pass. The Patriots did it a different way. They had a more mobile quarterback with a worse offensive line, and that proved to be the issue for them in the big moment against the defense that could get to the quarterback. So they're Drake May still needed an offensive line to be able to be mobile and scramble and do what he did all year as an MVP candidate with the 4th place schedule. Let's see what happens with these Lions next year with an improved offensive line that they have to do and a 4th place schedule. That's why they're picked to win first in the NFC North. Damn sure not because they think Caleb Williams is going to take another jump or Jordan Love and Matt LaFleur are going to take a jump up.
I know Steve-O Baby in the chat saying, Kool Aid, look what the Bears are doing right now. They made an impact move by getting rid of DJ Moore. Some people out there are believing that over the last 2 off seasons that the Bears have been cooking.
It's hard to deny. I'm not going to challenge that. It seems like they were making moves to set up for a big trade for Max Crosby.
Yeah.
And or if that didn't work, what they've done over the last 2 off seasons is build that foundation, rebuilding their offensive line, and it's not going to be their offensive line of the future, but they brought in Tooney and Jonah Williams and guys that will be there for a couple of years. They just traded for Garrett Bradbury, a cheap center. So now there are 2 other NFC North teams that need centers.
Yep.
Hey, I don't necessarily believe in Caleb Williams yet, but it's hard to deny Ryan Poles has made some shrewd moves. Who knows if it'll work out? They're going for it, though.
Cool.
Cool.
Good for them.
Right on the FTB energy.
Yeah.
Before we,
I mean,
Yo,
go ahead, Stick.
Stick, do you have anything to
no,
add?
go ahead.
I was just saying before
No,
we end up,
I can get on the fuck the Bears later.
before we go ahead and start to wrap things up, let's go over a couple more free agency, wants or needs that could potentially be there. I'll give you some corners, and I want you to tell me yay or nay on those corners. We have Marshawn Lattimore, who is coming off injury.
Sorry, continue.
Seems like a Brad Holmes guy. So we have Marshawn Lattimore, Trayvon Diggs.
No. We've
Hasn't
seen
that
what
been
the
the
Lions
name-
have done to him.
That's been the name flirted for years.
Bro, he's cooked.
And when he went to the Vikings?
I don't even
Who was
know.
that he went to when they torched him?
Yeah, he gets torched. I think it was the Vikings.
I felt like it was the Vikings.
Who knows? I've seen his number on the ground often.
Lions fans who wanted him were like, backtrack.
Teron Johnson, who was released by the Bills, I believe 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Who carries a $8.5 million evaluation right now.
Cornerback?
Yep.
Cornerback, like their secondary.
What can we do? Like,
I'm drafting.
Find me one, brother.
I'm drafting cornerbacks and I'm paying a safety.
I was
You
gonna
still
ask
got to
which one
stop
you
the
gonna
run.
One more name I do want to bring up just because it is someone that I know I wanted them to trade for before when we did hear that his name was available is Greg Newsome, who was traded from the Browns to the Jags, who carries a $9 million evaluation right now.
I don't know. He's a big corner, right? Like he's 6'2", 6'3".
I think he's right around 6 foot, I believe. I want to say.
I'll take any of the cheap cornerbacks. Like, we need them all. You can't trust Ennis Rakestraw. Can't really trust Terran Arnold right now. I'm drafting multiple cornerbacks late, and I'm paying a safety. If you're not paying Linderbaum and you're going cheaper with Cade Mays, I'm paying Brian Cook.
Yeah, he's
Are you
6
drafting
foot.
any help in that safety?
I think safety is a position.
There's some good ones. Bud Clark.
Safety this year is actually a really good class of safeties. Not so
It
much
is.
corners.
It
Not
is.
so much corners. Yeah.
But really good safeties are going to be first and second rounders.
Yeah.
There's some guys that slip into the third and fourth. I know the Lions don't have a third round pick currently, but fourth round, there's definitely some guys that
Is that too low
They're not-
for what they need right now?
like I know Stick will get on me, but I've done a lot of mock drafts where the Lions pick some serviceable safeties and corners that can plug in while your starting safeties are out, and then continue to be a serviceable and playing multifaceted roles for this Lions team.
Yeah. Well, I said I'm paying.
Why would I get over you? Why would I jump over you for that, man?
Because you said I don't know how to not just have the all pros and
No, honestly, that was a very intelligent take. Because if you're going to draft the back end of a defense, he is probably the easiest position for someone to transfer to because it's more see ball, get ball, right? They got to take the right angles. They just got to keep the defense in front of them. So that's where, like, if you want to spend that draft capital and that's where you want to go, I think that's a great take, man.
Yeah.
Big Wolf status is the Lions got 10 picks. They need like 14. I feel
Yeah.
like this is that year for that.
Or do they need-
I don't think they need 14.
I don't think
You
they're.
got to understand, like, if you're
roster
getting
can't
that
handle
many
it.
picks, like, you're not going to have 3 second-round picks. You're not going to have 3 third-round picks. So it's like most of that, if you're having 14 picks, most of those guys are going to be round 6,
In a
round
perfect
7.
world, he's
and those
having
guys are
multiple
special teams
early
guys
round picks.
usually.
Yeah. Steve Wild said it best. I'm glad the Lions have 2/3. Crickets. They don't.
Ooh.
You got to bundle those
duck from that. What a shot.
those 10 picks. Bundle 5, 6 of those late ones and move on up. Come on up into the third
Well,
round.
they're going to use their fourths.
Yeah.
They're going to use the fourths to move up.
Come on up.
I seen somebody in the chat bring up Jamel Dean. I don't think that's in the cards for the Lions. He carries a $15 million evaluation right now.
Yeah.
That's a little bit pricey.
It all depends on what's Kelvin Shepard going to do with this defense. Like we have small guys. We have little people in that secondary, except for Rakestraw and Arnold, who might.
But they want to play violent. They want to play big. They want to play fast.
And they want to play man coverage.
Oh, yeah, you got to get.
You need big. You need guys to be able to cover Puka Nacua and Justin Jefferson and some of these big receivers that are taking over the NFL. I like the signing of DJ Reed. He didn't play well last year as a whole. And he's paid a lot of money.
When you see some of these quarterbacks, and we talked about it, even Amik Robertson, like that dude is all dog. I don't question any aspect of that.
I love him.
Measurables are questionable though, and there are times where the pass was there and he ran the route for the receiver, but just because he's not 6'1", he couldn't get a hand on the pass.
Yeah.
Those types of things from multiple, I guess, smaller receivers. I don't even know what you would refer to.
Yeah.
Right? Those things just kind of tick me off, and I'm like, look, if you can get a lot out of a little, no pun intended, then go ahead for it. But when it's not working anymore, and when you realize this team really couldn't, they probably couldn't switch up the defense the way that Stick was calling for.
Yeah.
Because they probably just didn't have the type of personnel necessary. This is why I know he wants zone. But I don't know. It seemed like these guys, in certain aspects, got a little bit lost in those components.
I think there were people playing out of position. On Big D earlier this week, Neil asked the question, or it was part of their Lions 4 down, I think. Like, I forget how it was phrased, but what players were asked to do things that is just not part of their game. And, like, across the board, Lee McNeil playing edge was the – Amik Robertson isn't an outside cover corner. He's a dog in the slot.
He's a nickel.
You're right.
He's a nickel, can come
Yeah,
up
he's a
and
nickel.
he can stop the – he's
right.
violent in the run game. He's really good in the flats, but – and he had a good game against Justin Jefferson 2 years ago, but he's not a cover corner.
But that's it, though.
I
That's
love
the only
Amik
guys
for a
he's had
couple
good
million
game
bucks.
against is Justin Jefferson.
Pardon?
That's the only guy he's had a good game against.
Right, that's
is
what I'm
Justin
saying.
Jefferson.
That's what I'm saying. He's not an outside guy. He's a
He's
really
had
good
some
slot
decent
guy.
games.
But that's what you drafted Ennis Rakestraw to be.
Oh,
That's what you had Brian
stop taking
Branch.
off my headphones.
That's what you had Brian Branch to do. So,
Oh man, damn.
I don't know.
Because I shuddered earlier. You was like, yeah, take a couple corners later in the draft. And I'm just like, man, deja vu. And I get it. They did invest heavily. They invested heavily in the secondary, both in free agency and through the draft in ways that we're hoping they do for other units on the team moving forward. To see it kind of pan out like this, when we were ecstatic about what Terry and Arnold could be, we were ecstatic about them being able to lock in Kirby Joseph because we knew now there's no way in hell they're not going to lock in Brian Branch. So we knew, well, we got our secondary. We're good. You can kind of continue
Golden.
to piece things around. Now we're in a situation where I'm looking at this entire secondary and saying, where do we go next? I wish this was the world where we had 14 picks and those extra 4 picks were amongst the first, second, and third rounds. But what Stick said got me very, very intrigued. When you talk about packaging those 4th round, and later round picks to potentially try and move up to see if you see a safety in that 3rd round, and you're like, yo, this guy's not supposed to be here. I'm hoping that they're like, you know what, let's move up. If you see a lineman, offensive lineman, or someone in the trenches, let's move up and let's make something happen.
Move up to get a safety who's going to play safety, who's not going to play running back
Right.
out of Utah. Go. Let's just keep guys at the positions they're good at. How about that? Last question I'll leave you guys with. Name one player in the secondary, cornerback and safety room, that you have zero concerns about. And that'll do it.
All right, no thought.
I was like, wait.
No thought at all.
The silence is deafening.
It's scary. Scary.
My
All right.
brain was like, does not compute.
And it used to be, okay, safety. You got the best safety room in the NFL. You'll make it work with whatever
And healthy,
cornerback.
healthy, you still are.
Yeah.
But the reality is you're not healthy.
Maybe not ever again.
And you don't know. You don't know what's going on with Kirby Joseph.
We have no idea.
And you can put it on a fact that Brian Branch is not going to be back until, if he is coming back this season,
Till
it's
Thanksgiving,
going to be
maybe.
toward the end of the season, like the last
longer than the ACL.
4 games of the season.
And is he going to be back to himself? Because we see Aleem McNeil.
And he's not,
even
because
if
that's
he's going to be this year, he wasn't in the return.
That's an Achilles injury, and that recovery is a little bit even more.
It's the worst injury you can have as a defensive back.
ACL,
The worst.
that happens so much often now
Other than
that
death.
it's like players can come back from that, but Achilles is something that you still have to take your time with.
Yeah.
Like we look,
Heavy.
I looked at Jason Tatum play when he came back, and I'm not gonna lie, I seen some plays where I was like, yeah, I can definitely see the rust. I can see he's kind of hesitant with the athleticism. He got hung on the rim because he didn't feel like he could go all the way up. And it's like those are the things that you're gonna see if Brian Branch does come back. Like you're gonna see him hesitate, or it's gonna be a mind game because that injury is so severe.
Yeah,
Like,
Terrence
that is
Rushing.
a devastating injury.
Terrence Rushing 3001 in the chat. I don't know about you guys. He's drafting a safety in the first round for sure.
No, safety is not in the first round cards. at
Unless
all.
Caleb
he's
Caleb
not
Downs
he's
falls.
not falling.
Is that a trade up to
17.
the third round for a serviceable safety type situation?
Yeah.
Like Stick was saying?
This
That's
safe-
where I'm at right
This
now.
Yeah.
safety class is loaded. You have
Yeah.
a lot of guys in this safety class that you don't necessarily even have to move up. Like there's
You think
a
you're
lot
grabbing
of
one in the
guys.
fourth round? 'Cause
Yes, there is a lot of guys.
All right.
Safety. This is a good
I might have to
safety.
go over that on the show.
This is a good safety draft, but corners not so much. There's
Yeah.
maybe 4 or 5.
They are dime a dozen.
Hey, guy,
Corners.
Steve
Put it
Wiles,
in
guy
the
in booth
chat.
is spitting truth bombs. Brandon Lemons. If you get Mays at center, you can
need that
afford
one,
Jamel Dean. If you get Linderbaum at center, you go after Tariq Woolen at cornerback. Hey, we've talked for an hour and 40 minutes, all these different scenarios. Who the hell knows what Brad Holmes is about to do? But we're going to see in the next 12 to 24 hours
Free agency
how much
starts on
money
Wednesday.
they actually have available. What is it? Tomorrow they can start the legal tampering. You
Yeah,
can
yeah,
start
yeah, yeah.
negotiating
Tampering
contracts.
period.
When is the actual draft again?
The draft?
Yeah.
April, late
Because
April.
Brad always does something the eve of the draft. He's done that though the last 3
Yeah.
years. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens then.
And he's an active mover on draft day too. Up, back, sideways, good, bad, all of it. So when we come back next
That's how
Sunday,
draft is
we're going to know
April
even more about
23rd.
this team, and we're going to break it down in a different way. But Ryan's reaction in the Super Chat real quick. Thank you, Ryan. He says, predicting Kyle Lewis in the first. You'll see. Wow. I like Kyle Lewis. I don't know about the first round.
First
And I
round,
don't know.
I'll-
I definitely
I'm
don't think the
gonna pass first.
Lions should take him.
Shout out Ryan's reaction.
Any last
Shout out.
comments, you guys? Anything you want to get off your chest? Are you ready to call it a day?
Just see the energy in the sun
bold
emanating
take.
from Stick.
Yes, Dick?
Bold take. Ennis Rakestraw moving to a safety position this year.
Hey. Yeah, Iffy Melifanu 2.0? Anybody?
Can his body
A little bit bigger, a little
stand
bit
up
stronger,
to
so
being
he
a
can protect.
safety?
I put him out on
It's
the
a
field.
much easier position to play than corner.
I
Yeah,
just want
but his problem was never that he couldn't play corner. It was that his body couldn't take the hits in order to stay healthy and be at that position. Because when we have seen him coverage wise, he's been good, but he hasn't just been available for the Lions because of the fact that he has
was injured at Missouri.
He has that smaller frame.
Not
would
just
try
any
it,
injury.
though.
Was it hip or like he had groin injury
Yeah.
in college, and he plays
I
a
would try it,
position
though.
where he has to run backwards, covering
that's
the
a
most
Brad Holmes
athletic
guy.
humans on earth.
I would
Make
try
it
though,
make
Stick.
sense.
I would. Would you try it?
That's a Brad
I'll
Holmes
try
guy.
whatever you can to get that dude on the field. He has to play. For the money to.
Anything.
He has to play. He has to. Shout out to you, Big
Him
Show
and
Picks.
Terrion are the key this year. Him and Terrion, at least being serviceable, are the key this year.
They are. I don't think you can spend money on on cornerbacks in free agency. It's got to be Terrion and Ennis.
If
And
Terrion
that
is
scares me.
available,
It scares me.
we're gonna have good play from Terrion, but he just has to be available.
Yeah,
Has to be
I
available.
appreciated Terrion's like arc, his development.
He's
so.
getting better. He's getting better. But
Yeah.
as soon
Adiz-
as he was getting better, he got hit with a bug.
Hey,
Injury
Diz says,
bug.
good show to all of us. Mark Peston, it's a wrap. Ryan's reaction, I like it, Stick. He says, Ennis at nickel. Also, Crazy Clown, have a great rest of your Sunday, everybody. Broder, Stick, Kool Aid, Hefe, Crash Out Willie. Oh, yeah. Everyone, tune into Woodward
Shout out to
Sports
the man, Broder.
all week long. Shout out to my guy Kool Aid,
See you,
Stick, Jeff in the TD booth, Crash
Peace.
Out Willie in the
Right
sound
here.
booth. Monday through Friday, we got shows on Woodward Sports all week long, starting with Sean Belegian in the morning at 8, Big D Energy at 11, the Braylon Edwards Show with Shep and Kool Aid at 2 p.m., and the heavyweights rounded out from 5 to 7. Hope you all have a wonderful day. Check out the live stream for Michigan versus Michigan State basketball
get
at
that
Art
outta
and
here.
Jake's
Get
in
that outta here.
Northville
Go,
at
Blue.
4:30 p.m.
Go Trey
today.
McKinney.
Head over there,
Trey.
hang out with the
Trey.
crew, or check us out on YouTube. We'll be live for the entire game. Have a wonderful Sunday.